If you have a marriage counseling session with your spouse and it ends in divorce, does that mean that the marriage counseling failed? Let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Dr. Charlton Hall with the Mindful Ecotherapy Center. My earliest training was as a marriage and family therapist, so I've done a lot of marriage counseling in my time. And one of the misconceptions that comes up quite a bit is that if it ends in divorce, it has failed some kind of way. When I take people in for counseling, one of the first things we talk about is that there are three possible outcomes to marriage counseling. The first is that you're trying to figure out how to stay together. The second is you're trying to figure out how to divorce without causing a lot of anger and strife and problems. Or third is that you don't know which of the other two options you want, and you're trying to figure that out. And of course, it probably goes without saying that until both of you are on the same page with which one of those you want, it's going to be difficult for the counseling to go forward. What I see the most often in marriage counseling is that there's one person who wants to stay together, and then the other person is not sure whether they want to stay together or not. And in which case, the first thing we have to do is figure out, if you did want to stay in this marriage, what would it look like? There's an old story about the greatest sculptor in India who was famous for his carvings of elephants. One day a student came to him and asked, "How do you make such beautiful elephants?" He said, "Well, the secret is easy. All you have to do is get a piece of marble and chop off anything that doesn't look like an elephant." So what does that have to do with marriage counseling? If you're in a marriage together, a relationship together, you're carving an elephant that is the perfect marriage for both of you. So if one of you has one idea of what a marriage looks like and the other has another idea, you've got to make those two visions match to make sure you're both carving the same elephant. And that goes back to the idea of we want to stay together. If you want to stay together and you're absolutely sure that that's the reason you're seeking marriage counseling, then anything that doesn't look like that particular elephant is carved out of the whole situation. In other words, you're chipping away the stuff that doesn't look like the perfect marriage that you both decided that you want. So how does that work? It works by a solution-focused approach. We can talk about problems all day long, but until we start talking about solutions, nothing ever gets solved. That means that before you have any communication with each other, the first thought on your mind should be, is what I'm about to say going to carve the elephant that I'm trying to carve? Is what I'm going to say going to help me to build the marriage that I want? Or is it another blaming, shaming, and guilt-tripping comment that is not going to create the marriage that we want to have together? So the bottom line is, if you're stuck in a situation where you're not sure if you want to stay in this relationship or not, then what you need to figure out between the two of you is, if you did want to stay in this relationship, what would be different? What would that look like? And how is it different from what you're experiencing right now? Once you're both on the same page with that, then you've both decided what type of elephant you're trying to carve together. And then if the goal after that is to stay together, then anything that doesn't look like that elephant is off the table. Thanks, I'm Dr. Charlton Hall. You can visit the website at mindfulecotherapy.com. Talk to you next time. Hi, this is Dr. Charlton Hall. I'm the Executive Director of the Mindful Ecotherapy Center. If you're enjoying our videos, please don't forget to subscribe and tap the notification bell to be informed when new videos are released. You can also learn more about the work of the Mindful Ecotherapy Center by visiting our website at mindfulecotherapy.org.
you.